You know that game that was super popular 3 years ago, around the same time as Animal Crossing when we were all locked in our homes, Stardew Valley? Well, a couple days ago, I decided I would redesign the love interest, even though the interest in this video would likely be pretty low with my timing. I don't hear anyone talking about Stardew Valley anymore, but whatever, I still love the game. I decided to redesign the guys, or the Bachelors, first and do them alphabetically, or at least what I'm assuming is the alphabetical order. It's the order Stardew Valley Wiki put them in at the very least, and so that's the order we're going with. So first up to the plate was Alex. When I first met Alex in game, I immediately hated him, as I'm sure most people who went in with a female character do. The boy is pretty unapologetically and completely unsubtly sexist, and that is legit the most defining feature of him. To me, and early game, that's kind of all you really get to know about him. He's a grid ball player with an awful dad that you find out later about. Something I love about the Stardew Valley game is that all the characters have some kind of twist or deeper story to them. They all feel really three-dimensional, with the exception being Elliot. I hate Elliot. Maybe I don't know enough about him. I can't say I ever played his route, but we'll get into that later. I give Alex a lot of flack, but the later hard events feel really genuine, and he does apologize for the front he puts on, or I guess the attitude he has towards you. Early game, he gets a lot of his mannerisms from his dad, assumably, and his dad's not a good person, which isn't an excuse, but it is an explanation. Anyhow, he's basically the male version of Haley, so if you can get beyond her being a jerk, you can probably get by past Alex being a jerk. And while I'm being honest, I have to say I hate the colors of his design. What makes a good character design for pixel art and what makes a good design for digital art is very different. Pixel art is digital art, but you know what I mean. So I decided to try and keep his colors fairly similar to his pixel art design, because when I was sketching him, he just didn't look like himself. To be fair, he's the most basic looking guy you can get, so I don't know. Even keeping the colors the same, I feel like by the end of the drawing, he looks very much like Ben 10, and once you see that, you can't really unsee it. It was a bit of a struggle. For the rest of the designs, I ditched the idea of keeping the colors as close as possible, which I'm glad. I feel like I had a lot more freedom, and the characters still ended up looking like themselves, in my opinion. You tell me what you think in the comments. I ditched his jacket from the original design because it didn't really read as that sporty. Instead, I opted for him to have a jersey over a hoodie. And dude, I know nothing about sports. If this is a soccer jersey and he's meant to be a football player, they call it grid ball in the game. I don't know if that's another word for that, or if it's calling Christmas Candlemas or something, changing the name of it for the game so that it's a little bit more inclusive of, the Brits and whatnot. Anyhow, I don't care. He has a jersey because it's sport. That's the extent of that. If anyone that knows me in real life knows that I love the hoodie with a jersey over it look, or just a t-shirt over it look, even though it makes you look like a teenage stereotype, kind of a very stereotypical skater look, but I don't care. It's fine. I think it looks nice. In my drawing of him, he does look significantly younger than the other bachelors, and that wasn't a super conscious decision. He just very much reads early college to me, still trying to put his life together, not sure what he wants to do. And I don't know a lot of late adults that are still attempting to be pro sport players. So I think that might also contributed it, but it wasn't it was more of a subconscious decision than anything else. I also spent so much more time than usual on drawing his shoes. I hate drawing shoes with a fiery passion, and you'll see in the other designs I put close to zero effort in drawing them well. But his design felt so plain that if I was lazy on the shoes, I think it would have been the nail in the coffin for this design to just look really trashy and not well thought out. I'm sorry if it still comes across that way, but I did my best. Anyhow, I kept him as tan as he was in game again because I was trying to keep the colors relatively similar. I do really struggle drawing short, straight hair, especially with this, like, spiky look he had going on. So I definitely made it more curly than it probably should have been, but leave me alone. I like it better this way. Alright, so next up is Elliot, if you couldn't tell. So going into this, I knew nothing about Elliot, as I said earlier, and I know even less about like his personality and stuff. All I know is that he lives on the beach, and much like Leah, he is super annoying to befriend because you can't enter his house without already being friends with him. Which, if you don't play Stardew, that might sound like a bit of a weird complaint, but just trust me, it is really, really annoying because you can never give them gifts because they're always in their house. On a surface level, there's nothing much to Elliot. He's a bit snooty and he's very posh looking, especially with his luscious hair and his like trench coat. I really tried to do his hair justice. I don't know if I succeeded, but there's that. His canonic design wasn't that bad, but the colors were super jarring and the outfit was just weird and out of place in like modern society. So I tried to keep him looking posh by giving him an almost dark academia look. I achieved that through the layering of a button up on a turtleneck, and I played around with the colors a ton before finally settling on a really deep brown turtleneck and a maroon button up, much like his maroon trench coat that he has in game. That jarring emerald green is present in literally every character I'm drawing today: Harvey, Elliot, and Sam. Or not Sam, Alex, my bad. And I just had to do my best to make it work for the designs. Solely because I felt the need to bulk up what I have to say about Elliot, I did look into his heart events, and I learned that he's a writer, which I could have guessed and probably should have known, but yeah, he's a writer. He's slightly cooler than I thought, I guess. He also plays piano, which is pretty fitting for his appearance, and if you get close with him, you actually get to read the book he writes. Unlike most Stardew characters, that's all there is to him. Most Stardew Valley characters have at least a bit of a tragedy you can discover, or like a backstory. But nah, he's just a posh workaholic that thinks women don't like ale. And finally, we have Harvey. So Harvey is the first character I actually ever married in Stardew, and the only character I ever divorced. I played Stardew for the first time when I was... I don't know how old I was. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. So it was a long time ago, and I didn't realize that I could marry women as a female player. They also didn't realize I wasn't female. So 2 mistakes. And as soon as I realized I could marry women, I immediately married Emily, who I am super excited to give a hippie makeover eventually in like one of the later episodes. For those of you who haven't played Stardew, Harvey is a bit of a more serious and caring guy who is also an extremely exhausted doctor. He is struggling a bit with his hospital business in such a small town, but he makes do. He's definitely a little quirky and maybe even a little creepy, depending who you ask, but he is worth dating in my opinion. As for design, I'm very hesitant to call this a redesign. I didn't change much at all. There was only so much I could do with the doctor uniform. All I really did was change around the colors, so it's pretty anticlimactic. I wanted to give him stubble because I have a vendetta against mustaches that aren't accompanied by beards, but I reluctantly got over it. Really not much to say about him. I'm sorry. The more I draw the characters, the more I regret not starting with the girls. But I guess it's probably best I started with the guys, as I wouldn't have the motivation to do something so boring after getting to do like more interesting with the girls. Men's fashion is really limited and just kind of disappointing, so not much to say there. Anyhow, I do want to say, I guess this is not a preface. What's the opposite of a preface? Like an ending. Whatever. This is that. I want to end this by saying, in no way do I think my designs are better than the original. I just wanted to see how it would translate to my style, and what makes for a good pixel art design really makes for a good type of design. So here's the 3 boys all together. Subscribe to see when I draw the other boys, and yeah, bye!